with a simple yes or no, do you support defunding the police or reallocating their existing resources?
No, I do not support defunding the police, and I do not support in any way redirecting resources or in any way, shape, or form reducing resources. I am in favor of increasing resources for local law enforcement.
Thank you, Congressman. Mr. Rashad?
Again, no, I don't want to defund the police. In fact, I went against my own party to argue that we should make sure law enforcement gets the support they need. And likewise, of the two of us, only one person has voted to actually defund the police when they voted against the HEROES Act.
Thank you, sir. As we bring our debate tonight to a close, I would invite our candidates to 3 minutes. Yes, sir.
I want to thank my colleague, Congressman Wittman, for being here. I want to thank our gracious host. I want to thank each and every single one of you for being here. Not just here, but out on the streets every single day, defending our communities, keeping us safe, and working with our communities. I want to thank those members who are not members of law enforcement for caring about criminal justice reform and being part of this conversation, because this has to be a community and collective conversation. My work as a human rights lawyer has been to uphold the Constitution, uphold justice as that supreme standard. This is what that great document calls us to do. And that means working in a bipartisan manner, and that's why I've worked and continue to work with Republican sheriffs and Democratic sheriffs, Republican Commonwealth attorneys and Democratic Commonwealth attorneys throughout this district and throughout this Commonwealth. We are living at a very dangerous time in our country, where there is massive distrust of government, massive distrust between communities and law enforcement, but it doesn't have to be this way. We have a choice on how we move forward, and I believe that choice must be informed by the facts at hand. It must be informed by ensuring that every single member of our community has equal justice under the law, and every single member of law enforcement is able to come home safe and sound every single night. You know, growing up in a military family, I know the feeling of not knowing whether your loved one who is serving their country is going to come home safe or sound. I know that pain. I know that struggle, and that's why the policies that I'm putting forth are not my opinion. They are the proven models demonstrated by police departments like Camden, New Jersey, around the country, to demonstrate a de-escalation of force by 95% and a drop in violent crime simultaneously. My opponent continues to insist that a bill voted on by Republicans and Democrats is not bipartisan. He continues to insist that he opposes defunding the police when he actually voted to defund the police. And he continues to insist that he wants to listen when he hasn't held a public town hall since March of 2019. He continues to insist that he wants to debate when the 6 offers of debate that we've extended, he has refused to respond. Now, maybe he thinks his record is indefensible. Maybe he thinks that the members of our community in rural parts of our district who don't have broadband internet access and can't travel should just be out of luck. Well, I disagree. I believe that the job of a public servant should be to be accessible and available and be willing to defend their record at every step of the way. That is what I have done as a human rights lawyer throughout my career. That is what I will continue to do. And as my record has shown, I am willing to not only work bipartisan, but go against my own party, if need be, to uphold justice for all. That is what my family pursued when we came to this country, and that is my promise to continue to uphold for every single person in our Commonwealth and throughout our country. Thank you. My name is Qasim Rashad. I hope to have your vote on November 5th.
Thank you, Mr. Rashad. Congressman Wittman.
Again, I'd like to thank the Rappahannock Regional Criminal Justice Academy for holding this debate. I'd like to thank my opponent for agreeing to the debate. This is one of those times in our nation where it's critical that we solve the problems that we have before us. Tonight's debate is about the vision about how we solve those problems, about how we do that in a bipartisan way. And no matter how often my opponent says that these bills are bipartisan, if you do not take into account the ideas of the minority, no matter how much you call it bipartisan, it's not bipartisan. If you don't engage the community that the legislation affects, no matter how much you call a bill bipartisan, it's not bipartisan. If you don't do things to really get a piece of legislation into law where it can make a difference, then a bill that you call bipartisan is really not bipartisan. If you look too at the other accusations that my opponent makes, again, baseless. I've had over 2 million constituent contacts over the past year. Multiple town halls, multiple in-person town halls. With small groups, with COVID-19, obviously we're limited. I've done things virtually. So again, complete misnomer about not having town hall calls and contacting constituents. I've done that overwhelmingly. As far as debates, I offered my opponent, as soon as he was nominated, 2 debates. Guess what? We've agreed to 2 debates. So that's where we are. So again, another assertion that's absolutely incorrect. But at the end of the day, I think people are going to judge a person that they put into public office on do they accomplish things. And I am very proud about the things that I have been able to accomplish in the minority in Congress. To be able to do things like help our transportation system with the Long Bridge Act, to make sure we improve rail transportation. Anybody that's had to travel in this region knows that that's critically important. Also, in the myriad of efforts that I have pursued since I have been in local elected office, where Westmoreland County, the county board of supervisors I served on now, has tens of thousands of people served by high-speed broadband. My bill in the General Assembly that created broadband authorities. My efforts in Congress, where I am the co-chair of the Rural Broadband Caucus. The bills that I have introduced. The efforts I've undertaken with Chairman Pai to make sure that we get broadband to rural areas. Look at my record. It's a record of accomplishments. I ask for your vote in November. I ask that your gauge of how you make a decision to vote is based on action and not words.